Tell me about getting this movie together then. Nicholas, you produced it. I know that Rob was on board from quite an early stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, my business partner, Trevor Engelson, read the script and he gave it to me and said, I think this is something you might like. And I loved it. And, you know, it's been a 4-year process, and we got Alan Coulter, the director, on board, and then we got Rob. And I'm very proud to say that Rob read the script in the parking lot of an In-N-Out burger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 2 months before Twilight came out, and Rob signed on and stuck with the project, and you know, from there everything just snowballed.
And so is that there's the exec producer credit? That's the reason for that, is it?
No, I think, you know, Rob always wanted, you know, he always wanted this project to be handled a certain way, and so we wanted him to come on board, and you know, we consulted him on the casting of the movie and on the script and various things along the way, and you know, you're a great executive producer, so.
I didn't even know you were.
It's on the poster.
I know, but I mean when we were filming, yeah. Well, no, yeah.
What was it?
Put that on my CV.
What was it that you really liked about it, Rob, when you were approached?
I think it was just I'd read tons and tons of scripts over the summer after I did Twilight, and I mean hundreds, and everything just seemed exactly the same. And this one, initially just about the way the dialogue was written, it just seemed much more naturalistic than most things. And also Tyler as a character. I mean, it seems like most movies which have a young male protagonist as the lead, they have to be like either a virgin to begin with and have to learn everything during the movie, or they just have to, they always have to have, or they go through the trials of the movie and end up a different person and they're completely fine afterwards. But Tyler seemed like he starts off with a lot of baggage and a very full and developed character, and ends up just being developed in a slightly different way, rather than just becoming, oh, I'm fine now after this movie, after going through this movie, I'm fine. And you just never see that in films very much, especially for young people, with the parts being young. I think that's what initially appealed to me.
I've got to say, for both of your characters, there's great chemistry between your fathers, so Pierce Brosnan and Chris Cooper. How's it for both of you working with, well, Emily with Chris and Rob with Pierce?
Yeah, I mean, I was over the moon when I found out Chris was playing my dad. I've been a fan of his for years. He's just incredible, and just such a sort of a very intense person, but very giving. It never really, you know, never felt like reading a scene. It just felt like, you know, you're watching and reacting, and yeah.
And the legend that is Mr. Brosnan?
No, so, I mean, when they first talked about Piers, I mean, I never ever would have thought initially that it would be someone like Piers playing Charles. But I don't know. I think he brought some, I think he has a sort of innate likability to him. I mean, as soon as you meet him, he's very, very charismatic and so. And Charles on the page was someone who's very domineering and quite a negative character. And Piers, just by being Piers, kind of changed the whole dynamic of it, which was great, and it made it a much more interesting relationship, I think.
He can be charming, can't he? He looks like someone who is rich and is a businessman and can wear the suit well, but he can also charm the socks off you.
He's very, very charming.
He's the kind of guy who, you mention you have a great aunt, Matilda, and then you see him like 3 months later, and he remembers.
Yeah.
And he's like, how was her leg operation? He's just a really nice guy.
We'll brave the lights now and get some questions. There are roaming microphones, so if you can just wait till you get the microphone and everyone can hear you. Immediately someone at the back is that Joe? It is. Hello, Joe. Do you want to just get is there a microphone for Joe? Yeah, and then we'll get the first question, and you know the deal, just stick your hand up and we'll get a microphone to you.
Cool, thank you very much. Hello, this is a question for Robert. It's Joe from Heart Radio. Robert, you were very sweet with the young girl who plays your sister in the film. It seemed like that was a very natural thing for you to be working with such a young girl. You haven't got any younger brothers and sisters, so tell us about that relationship and how you made it sort of seem so natural.
I think that's really all just Ruby who plays her. She's just... I don't have any younger brothers and sisters. I mean, I got too old. I think I always wanted a younger sibling. Not that I have anything against my sisters, but she's just one of the best actors I've ever worked with. She's very... she's surprisingly... just articulate about her character. I mean, when I first met her, she just seems like a very, very normal kid. And then the more she talked about her character and her character's development, I mean, she could talk about it for hours, and she could also just improvise for hours and hours and hours, and was so comfortable in front of a camera and working with adults, and she was really amazing. And it's very easy to do anything with her. You can just look at her and you could know what to do immediately.
Can we get a microphone down to the front? Anwar Brett has a question.
Yeah, Robert, at what point did you realise you could use your powers for good, and through the success of those other movies help perhaps finance films like this? And what pressures are there, or were there, on you to perhaps do other stuff that might earn more money but be less satisfying?
I never like anything. I mean, and so it's quite easy to decide what to do. And, you know, even movies I'm not in. So it's just lucky. But I've never felt any pressure to do anything particularly. Even when we were shooting it, I never thought about the box office or anything. It's only when it came to promoting it, then it's, you know, people ask you about it and stuff. And obviously, it's not even. It's not like a Twilight movie. It's an original screenplay, and it doesn't fit into any genre either. It's not really that much of a feel-good movie, but they don't make movies like it anymore. So, and I think that's how I kind of choose stuff, and that's the only criteria I really have. If seems to be a gap in the market for something, then I just try and do that. I'm trying to do that with all the other things I'm doing afterwards as well.
And that presumably is the same reason why you guys were attracted to it in the first place as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. It didn't even read to me personally really like a script, which is probably what you're saying, but it also didn't read technically like a script in a very good way. It read more like just, you know, somebody written you a letter, or you were reading something that somebody had just jotted down, and it was just so honest and organic in that way, I think. Yeah.
Can we get a microphone over here to second row? Thanks. You chuck it. Thanks.
Hi, without wanting to give away the end, the film has to be set in New York. So how are you with the New York accent for the actors? And also you mentioned the New York premiere. What has been the reaction of New Yorkers to seeing something that's still quite raw for them on film?
Can we talk about the accent?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, in general, I love accents, and I suppose have to use them quite a lot working out of the States, but it just really adds another layer to the character for me and takes them sort of further away from yourself. And I was interesting with Ali because she's from Queens, she grew up in Queens, and you know, originally was sort of thinking, okay, you know, really do a very authentic Queens accent, and then sort of went up there and talking to our amazing dialect coach who was on set all the time about it, and really noticing and observing up there that the younger generation, sort of like late teens, early 20s, didn't have a strong accent at all. And I've noticed that in other places too. It's just sort of dissipating all over the world because of, I think, just more and more constant influx of, you know, media, whether it's through the internet and TV and radio, just becoming more and more, and people travelling more, that it's really the older people who still have that accent. So.
How about your accent, Rob?
I think it just sort of came out of the script. I pretty much had the same voice from the first time I read the script to the whole way through the movie. Sometimes when you're lucky, you just read a script and the voice comes out right. I wasn't even conscious of doing a New York accent. I don't even know what borough or anything. I mean, it just sounded like. I mean, I've spent a bit of time in New York, and you know, just try and pick up on how people speak. But it's also, you know, I don't know where my accent is now. I mean, I wouldn't say I had a specifically London accent anymore. So I don't know.
Have you also asked about the reaction in New York to the film? How's it been?
Well, I think, you know, I think obviously this has to be a New York story. We have to shoot the movie in New York, and we had a lot of New Yorkers on set. We had a lot of New Yorkers who've been affected by the events in the movie. We had a number of cops in the movie who were, you know, affected by the events as well. And they all read the script and all fell in love with it and all felt like it was an important story to tell. So we always felt good about that. that they kind of gave it their stamp of approval.
Right, let's get the microphone down to this far corner, if that's right. Oh, sorry, were you next? Okay, apologies. We'll go there, and then we'll go there. Thanks.
Emily, Lost has been such a big part of your life for so long now. How does it feel to leave that behind, and how positively do you feel about the future? What's next?
Yeah, it has been a big part of my life, and it's been a great ride. I don't know, it's kind of bittersweet that it's ending. I'm really happy they made a decision consciously to announce an end date 3 years ago so they could evolve the story how they wanted to and really give it a beginning, a middle and an end, and also that it's ending on a high note. It's not just sort of trickling away when no one cares, so I think that's all really positive. But, obviously you miss things about projects and people you work with, and I don't know, I guess I'm trying to be positive about the future. Yeah.